One of the hardest things about creating content is actually creating content. If I had an option, I'd love to do a podcast. But when the podcast setting, for me, it's challenging because the topic of discussion is something that I don't have. Actually, I mean, wow. As you see me now, just thinking and trying to articulate my thought process to you, I'm even having a hard time and a challenge with saying why a podcast is easier than creating content. I believe with a podcast, if you can't, or if you don't have the gift of gab, or you're not able to think of things on the spot, you have the opportunity to read from a teleprompter. Also, with the podcast, your camera and your lighting is set up in the room, and you don't have to maneuver and make sure that you have good camera angles. Well, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Forgive me for every good podcast out there that has good camera angles. But once you're set up with your camera angles, you don't have to worry about changing those angles until you want a different look and a different perspective on how you pushing out your podcast, a different view. Creating content, on the other hand, you don't, unless you have certain tools in front of you, you don't have the ability to see what your camera is like. For instance, I am holding up a Samsung S Galaxy 22 that is broken. The back of it is broken, the front screen of it is broken. I really don't even know if I'm talking to you right now. I don't even know if the screen is recorded or if I'm just talking to the back of my phone. And this is an issue that I deal with creating content. Not only that, bad camera angles, your sound and quality. With the podcast, you basically have an opportunity to have equipment, sound equipment that you can manage your sound. If your sound goes in and out, or if you need to make adjustments, you can make those pretty easy on the spot. With me creating content, I have the ability to change my audio through different editing tools, but it's not always standard. It's different things. I'm creating my content outside. With me creating my content outside right now, I am not limited to, but I have different environmental challenges, sounds. It's just so many different things. Sounds is one. My camera, two. The presentation that I'm giving you, and those are some challenges that I see with creating content. I told myself just to produce content, just make content. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Well, it's been challenging to get to the road to even 100 subscribers. So if I'm imagining myself trying to get up to 1,000, 2,000, and trying to reach those goals, and my first 92 or 93 are not impacted by what I'm doing to share my content, to continue to keep viewing it, how could I produce content for the masses? So these are different reasons why a podcast to creating content is a little bit different. You probably noticed that the camera angle changed a few times throughout me speaking to you, and it's because I'm holding up the camera myself. Yeah, I could put it on a tripod. Yeah, I can get something that's fixed and not having to use my arms as leverage to hold up my camera. Or better yet, have a team that is also monitoring my views, monitoring my camera. Like, it's so much when it comes to creating content against the podcast. I believe a podcast is the easiest route to go in YouTube. Just make sure that it's entertaining. Make sure you have knowledge that you bring into the people. And with creating content, you gotta have different elements. For instance, I was in the podcast room You would have never seen a motor or heard or seen a motorcycle that came behind. That's it. I'm creating content. It's things that are uncontrollable that I can't control. I can control right now. If somebody was to come down the street beating with their 32s in the trunk, it'll be lost footage, or I have to mute it, edit it. So much to it. I'm actually shooting this content right now because I'm getting ready to transplant those, and I needed an introduction. Tomatoes, peppers. I'm getting ready to take a few of those tomatoes and I'm going to transplant them into bigger pots. We're going to use these fairy most pots. I totally forgot. See, the quality just went away just that fast with me talking to you. I forgot I turned the microphone around. You wouldn't be able to hear me, right? So these are different things that you have to deal with. And I am getting ready to make that same decision again, but I am going to try to do it in a different light. You probably didn't even see what I'm doing. I want to show you exactly what I want to do, but I need the microphone here that is on the top of my phone. So I just quickly changed around the microphone, and once again, I don't even know if this sound is good, but with creating content, you just have to, I guess, learn. A team would be very helpful. Learn from your mistakes and work on them. But what I was just explaining to you is that I'm going to transplant these tomatoes and maybe a few peppers inside of these Fairy Most containers. But what I need to do first is I need to get me a good mixture of soil, a zucchini. I thought we was going to at least have one, but it didn't make it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this Simple Garden, Happy Life, Cowabunga, compost plus cow manure, London Garden Natural Boost, and conditioned soil. But I am going to use it to pot. I'm also going to take some of this Simple Garden, Happy Life topsoil. I'm going to mix those two. I'm going to add some worm castings because my compost don't have any worms. And I'm also going to use not the all-purpose. I'm going to use the tomato and vegetable herb fertilizer from the Dr. Earth. I may end up mixing bone meal and blood meal into that mixture, and I'm actually going to show you all that here in a bit. I might put some sand, some paver sand on the bottom of these containers. That's just to encourage root growth. It's a trick that I learned from growing out of the box, who uses styrofoam cups. And actually, I was cleaning out a ditch. I was cleaning out the ditch that is near my grandmother's house, and I happened to find a styrofoam cup. So with me finding that styrofoam cup, I'm going to actually use it to transplant one of my tomatoes. It's a big 32-ounce cup. Oh, here it is, right here. Right, Polar Pop Circle K. Growing out of the box, he used a soldering tool to poke 4 holes. I don't have a soldering tool, so I'm going to use my next best option to give me 4 equal holes. I'm going to put sand on the bottom of this Then I'm gonna get my dirt mixture, which I'm also going to get compost from out of the back, and everything that I just told you, plus the compost from out of our compost bin. That's how we're going to mix our potting soil to transplant. Thank you for watching and staying alone. It's not taking place in this video. You're going to find it in the next video. This was an introduction to that video. I wish I would have made it a short, been able to get it done in a minute or so. But this video is explaining why I believe podcasts are easier than just making content. And there's more reasons. I will continue. I will make this as a series because there's some other things. Every time I keep thinking about content creation, it's a gentleman based out of Chicago, corporate business entertainment. When I first seen his content about 4 years ago, that was content to me. It was almost like you watching a sitcom television show. That's something that keeps me engaged and interested. Epic Garden, when it comes to gardening, his content is fabulous. I don't know if he worked the camera by himself or he has a team, but his content is fabulous. It keeps you engaged. It's informative. It's educational. And yeah, I love you, YouTube. Thank you for giving me your time.